So we're back to working with sequences and series. And we're being asked in this first exercise, which is on page 590 in your textbook, example 1, to find the next 4 terms of each sequence. Now, if we reflect back on what we learned with arithmetic and geometric sequences, we know that arithmetic sequences have a common difference and geometric sequences have a common ratio. And sometimes we have sequences that are based on things other than that, but sometimes we're even given an explicit formula. But here we've got a sequence, 32, 16, 18, and 4. And we're asked to find the next 4 terms of each sequence. So let's see, if I'm looking at a common difference, 16 minus 32 is negative 16. But 8 minus 16 is negative 8. So it doesn't appear to be just a straight arithmetic sequence. Let's try about a common ratio. So if I take 16 divided by 32, that's 1/2. And 8 divided by 16, that is 1/2. And 4 divided by 8, also 1/2. And we have to test everything that we know in order to determine what type of sequence we may be looking at. So it would appear we got a common ratio. This would be a geometric sequence. And so to find the next 4 terms, we could just simply start by taking 4 and dividing it or multiplying it by 1/2, or dividing by 2, I guess we could say. I should probably put times. That will give us 2. And then 2 divided by 2 gives us 1. And 1 divided by 2, or multiplying by 1/2, gives us 1/2. And then 1/2 times 1/2 gives us 1/4. And so it would appear here in this first sequence, this is our next 4 terms. Well, let's take a look at this second sequence. 1, 2, 4, 7, 11, and 22. Well, let's see. The difference between 2 and 1 is 1. The difference between 4 and 2 is 2. Well, it's not just a straight arithmetic sequence, but let's keep going. The difference between 7 and 4 is 3. I'm beginning to see a pattern here. The difference between 11 and 7 is 4. And let's see. The difference between 11 and 16 is 5. And the difference between 22 and 16 is 6. So I do have a pattern here. It's taking the preceding number and adding by 1, and then it's taking the preceding number and taking the difference of the first pair and adding 1 to it each time. And so that being the case, then that would mean that if that sequence continued, then it would be 22 plus 7, which would be 29. And then the next term would be 29 plus 8, which is 37. And let's see, the next term would be 37 plus 9, which would be 46. And then the fourth term would be 46 plus 10, 56. I think we got our sequence here. It's taking the preceding number and adding the difference from the 2 numbers preceding plus 1. All right, now we're going to skip over here and we're going to look at a sequence where we're given a explicit formula. So here we're asked to find the first four. We're asked to find the first four terms in the sequence by this formula: a to the n equals n cubed minus 10, and n, of course, being the number of the sequence. And if that's true, I can get the first term here. So a1 equals 1 cubed, substituting in 1 for n, minus 10. Well, 1 cubed is just 1, minus 10 equals negative 9. And then we go a2, second number in the sequence, would then be 2 cubed minus 10. And 2 cubed is 8 minus 10, which would then be negative 2. And the third term of the sequence would be 3 cubed minus 10. Let's see, 3 cubed is 27 minus 10. So the third term would be 17. And then that would be the fourth term of the sequence. A4 would be 4 cubed minus 10. And 4 cubed is 64 minus 10, 54. And there, using an explicit formula, we found the first four terms of the sequence. Finding terms of a sequence.